welcome to the Purpose Talk, brought to you by Shameless with Innocentia. It's all about purpose, it's about passion, it's about courage, and it's also about healing. So also please don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Shameless with Innocentia, and also on Facebook, Shameless with Innocentia. So without any use of more time, I would like to introduce you to our guests for tonight. Okay, let me actually allow them to introduce themselves, who they are, what are they all about, before we get to the topic for today. I'll start with you, Tsholofelo.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is TsholofeloMsibi. I'm an intern industrial psychologist. I'm also a registered counselor, so I've been working now in the counseling space. So I basically deal with trauma. I'm about wellness. If you know me, I'm about wellness of individuals, wellness of people, mental health. That is me. That is my passion. That is what I believe God has sent me this earth to do, So yeah, that is.
Maratuwa, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you all about?
My name is MoratuwaMotsemme, and yeah, before I just start, thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be in the presence of you amazing ladies. I'm a 26-year-old young female. I work at the CHAR. I've been there. I'm approaching 3 years now. I'm studying this year for my master's degree in HR as well. In terms of what I'm about, I would say I strongly lean or strive towards ensuring that you better yourself as an individual, growth and improving your capabilities. And I think that a large part of my purpose is aligned to that as well. Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, ladies and the two gentlemen that are in here. The question was, what are you about? And I heard the ladies say they already have they know what they're about. Most people in life go through life not knowing what they're about. And I think I am one of those people that is still on the search of that. And in preparation for today, I came across this quote by Mark Twain that said, 2 of the most important days in your life is the day you are born and the day you find out why you were born. And I am MantombiMmolotsane. I am a mother to a 6-year-old girl. I've been married for about 8 years, 11 months. And I am in the financial industry working as a portfolio manager for small business. So I know, and the last thing, I am a last born. I know the last born have a very bad reputation, but I'm here to represent. I'm happy to see my sisters also coming in. And I continue to pray and continue to seek finding what I'm about, but without forgetting to live in the present. Because we can find ourselves most of the time trying to focus on the next step that we are not in the present, we are not seizing the moment. So I guess in this past few years, I'm more about being in the present in every single stage that I'm in, being it a mother, a daughter, a wife, a student, an employee, or even a friend.
Right. Thank you very much for those very nice and brief introduction to what you guys are all about. I would like for us today to actually zoom. That's why my first question, it was about what are we all about? Because at the end of the day, there should be some the why to why are we here, the why to why are we alive, the why to why are we doing the things that we are doing. And I love the quote that Mantombi have just mentioned, to say that you won't start living until you realize actually why are you actually living. So maybe to the panel, if you can share with us, what has your journey been, the journey of discovery in terms of your dreams? Have you, as an individual, have had dreams, or do you have dreams in terms of your life? What kind of goals did you have growing up, and how have those goals unfolded? Are they in line maybe with your purpose, or have you discovered your purpose or not, or is it just an issue of you are discovering, like Mantombi saying, that she is kind of like discovering what she is all about. So, but I would just like for us to zoom in terms of life. Why are we here? What kind of dreams do we have for ourselves individually? I'll allow Moratua to maybe share in terms of just an overview in terms of why are you here, and why do you think you are here, and what kind of dreams did you have growing up, and are you reaching those dreams, or have they changed over the time? Over to you, Moratua.
Thanks, Sure, that's quite a mouthful, but I'll just try to cover some of the important aspects that you have just mentioned. I would say to start off that I don't think even purpose on its own, it's something that's constant. It's a journey that you travel through until you die. And when I was growing up, honestly, even now as I reflect, I don't think it's unreal that I'm where I am. Oh my word! I was just saying that if I reflect back on my life, I wouldn't necessarily say that I knew that I would be here today. School has always been my thing, and when I started out, when I was choosing subjects, I didn't even think I started off at psychology. My first thought was, I wanted to be a policeman. I didn't, or a police officer, and I didn't even consider the journey or the growth elements such as that go into that preparation. But as I studied as well, I've just mentioned now that I started off with psychology. I ultimately thought that I'd study until master's clinical psychology, and I'd get into that field. But it was so difficult to get into master's, and you have to kind of make way of your current situation. If you're not getting to a stage where you want to be, you need to now think what's the next thing that I can do to ensure that I get to where I want to be. And it wasn't working out with the masters, and I had to sit down with myself. I was obviously disappointed, but I had to sit down and kind of plan what's the next step for me. How do I get to the next step? I then went to a different field. It was not far from clinical psychology. I went to a different field, and that led me to HR. And I'd say that the way that, or the path that I have traveled and journeyed through, I don't even have any regrets, because in that sense, I don't even think my role where I am today, either at work as a student or a daughter, in any of my roles, I got there by mistake. What I'm doing now is that I'm finding meaning as well in what I'm doing, because it's very unfulfilling to be waking up in the morning every day and you feel like you're not getting to where you want to be, but at the same time, there are no opportunities, not even opportunities, but the road that you wanted to travel is not the road that you were necessarily on. So I'd say definitely my dreams are still there, but my dreams have also been affected by the challenges that I've encountered, and obviously the journey that I've traveled. And yeah, I'd say it's a journeyful experience. In everything that you do, you have to always find meaning in that, and if there's no meaning in that, you have to create your own meaning. If you, let's say for example, want to get to a stage and you are not, your current circumstances don't provide the opportunities for you or the resources for you to get there, you need to start somewhere, basically. And I hope I just covered some of the elements that you've...
I think you have done exactly that. Maybe I would also maybe extend the question to Tsholofelo to say that how do we then find meaning in the whole life thing, in the whole having dreams, growing up, facing challenges? How do we then find meaning in the whole thing? And how has it been in your experience too?
Moratuwa's story. Before I get to the whole answer of how do you get or deal with, your life challenges and all that when you're acquiring your dreams. When I started, I also started with clinical psychology in mind. That was where I was going. There was no ifs and no buts, Studied at UJ, did my undergrad. And then at that time, I remember it was Rand Afrikaans Universiteit. There is me revealing my age. So getting into honors at that time was very difficult. It's still difficult now to get into masters, but at that time it was very difficult. And unfortunately, I was part of an era where getting into honors, they had a certain amount of seats for Black people, And I remember going to the faculty because I used to help out in the faculty. And the one guy who works there was like, I was just told that I must just try pick from the M's. We have a lot of M's, And my maiden surname is Letapa. So clearly I did not fit in. So it was quite a struggle to get to the honors part of it before you even get to the masters. And then I got the opportunity to go do it at MGI. And then from there, I did my honors and I was given the opportunity to write my board exam and register as a counselor. But I also still wanted to do my masters like Moratuwa said. And getting into masters posed to be just as difficult, because of, if you've ever been for master selection at clinical, you will know that you come out more bruised than you were going in, where they will tell you either you were too young. I think at that age I was still 23. 24, and they were telling me you're too young, you don't have life experience, you can't be a clinical psychologist. The next round I was told that I'm not ready, I have things that I need to deal with, but at the end of the day I knew that somehow I wanted to deal with people. That's always been my passion, to help people understand why, who they are, why are things happening, what kind of guidance can I get. And I knew that from my training as a counselor I could do that to some degree. Registered, did my boards, and while I was actually studying and doing the registration, funny enough, a lot of people don't understand this, but I fell in love with trauma, and not the actual trauma of it happening, but the amount of help the amount of assistance you can give someone immediately after they've been exposed to trauma. I love the fact that there's something that we can do. And then I was exposed to children, but then at the beginning of my career I realized that children are a bit too sensitive. I was still 25 at the time. And I was like, children are a bit too sensitive, and it was not gelling very well with me. Then I went into an organization, and that is where I realized that some things happen for a reason, because within that space of me being in an organization, learning more and working not just with trauma, but with wellness and mental health of all our members in our organization, I realized the importance of industrial psychology within the organization, and that is then where I moved towards more than clinical, because clinical, it's quite broad, Leona, but it's based mainly on psychopathology, where industrial, I feel we can dive into so many things, and wellness is part of it, and that's where I think I found my niche, to say that I can do this, but I can do it in an organization. And in organization, it's everyday people, it's everyday challenges. I'm not just dealing with disorders or pathology per se. It's literally everyday things that I can deal with, and I can actually feel that I'm doing something. And I think that is where, hence I'm saying that's what I'm about. I'm about wellness, I'm about mental health. I have found it, by God's grace, fortunately for me, I found it while I was still young. I'm still in it. I tried to move away from it. God knows I tried, because I would say, it was the time. I was like, it's too heavy, can't do this. I can't see people and cancel people every day, but God will always put me back into that space. God will always redirect me back into that space. And I've accepted it. As much as I'm completing my master's in industrial psychology, I have accepted that is what I'm here to do. I have not reached the top tier of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I am partially self-actualization, but not fully, because there's still so much more that I want to achieve within this space. But that has been my long life dream, is to assist someone who's been hurt. And I think it comes from when I was young and I was hurt. my parents actually took me to someone who assisted me at that point in time when I was hurt, and I realized the power of having someone that I can assist you at any given time if you've got access to them. And I found myself in a position where I was in an organization where people don't have access as much as they should. And that is where I found me. And I know your question also said, why are we here? And I believe I am here for others. I'm not here for myself. It's very hard at times because sometimes I want to bring myself back and be here for myself. But that is not why I'm here. And it's still a journey. I'm still discovering, I'm still learning a lot of things, you know. It's not like I know all, but at the same time, it's not an easy journey because it's quite selfless and it hurts a lot of the time, you know. But that's what I believe I'm here. And I'm learning to embrace it. It's difficult, but I'm learning to embrace it. And the more I embrace it, the more I actually get to see the fruits of it, you know.
My next question, especially to Mantombi, because she has a family, she has a child, you know, how has your journey in discovering your dreams, your journey in trying to figure out why you are here, how has it changed over time? I'll come to the question, Tsholo, don't worry. How has that evolved over time because of your current situation? As a mother, as a wife, how has that? Because I also want us to be able to help families, because sometimes it's not only about the careers that we have or the dreams that we want to achieve in terms of whatever academia or business or otherwise, but it's also about how are our journeys affected by commitments, you know, motherhood commitments, wife commitments, such things.
The journey for me has been realizing that in every stage of my life, I need to accept that I will not be comparing myself to Moratuwa because Moratuwa is still in her 20s, and accepting that for instance, now I'm back at school, and it's kind of hard having to accept the fact that I used to be an A student and now I'm really an average student. But also the biggest thing for me is just forgiving myself for knowing that I have put on so many hats across the journey of my life, and my dreams have changed according to the journey of my life. I started off as wanting to be a doctor. That never panned out. And I work in the financial industry. I started, my studies are in IT. I cannot stomach IT, but I did it. It got me to where I am. So it's just really taking it as you go. It hasn't gone according to plan, but God's plan always pans out to be better. And that's how I feel my life has been right now. And the most important thing, which I learned, I think COVID has been a big learning curve for me, to just forgive myself. As a person, we tend to have so many goals that we set for ourselves, and sometimes it could be very to your deathbed that you want a certain body, you want a certain look, you want a certain car, but accepting your situation as and when it comes and making do with what you have has been my journey throughout these years. And the most important thing that has been a vital pillar in my life is the support system that I have, not only from my family, but from the friends that I have, when I'm busy, I can literally say, guys, miss me, I'm not coming, I'm not in a good mental space. And being able to voice where you are at those different points in your life, it makes other people accept that actually she is still my friend, but right now she needs me to step back. But it does not mean that she does not care. She does not mean, even in the house, I do go and tell them, like, guys, today I don't want to be a mother, I don't want to be a wife, I just want to be me. And that has been what has been the formula in my life. The support system has really gone a very long way.
My question, Tsholo, was about what then keeps you going, what keeps you that meaning of life, you know, because there's somebody who said just recently that it's not about the years that you live, but the life that you live in those years. So it's always about the depth of life, not the length of life. So what has been that thing that gives you meaning, you know, in all the ups and downs, you know, in all the challenges, maybe when you are trying to discover yourself? My question is, what has been that thing that kept you going, that kept giving you that push to the direction that you are currently now?
Like a lot of people's journey has not been easy, to get to where I am. Life takes its toll, and challenges come in the most unexpected ways ever, And the one thing that Mantombi mentioned that is very critical is that when you have a dream, or even if you don't even realize your dream is yet, but you have a purpose and there's something that is out there that you need to reach and you need to go for. I always encourage my client that the importance of a support system. And that is why you'll find that in psychology or in therapy, before you even start your session, the first thing that we do when we're doing the clinical interview is we need to find out what your family tree is. We do a whole family tree to find out who is there, who isn't there, what is happening around you. Because, as much as some people do things alone and they find themselves being alone, but no man is an island. I know it's one of those quotes that's just been thrown around whenever, but a support system is very, very important. And that is what I found that I had to link myself to and make sure that it stays by my side. I grew up as quite an introverted child, where I would lock myself in the room, especially when something happened. Even in my adult age, I would find myself that my coping mechanism was sleeping, And as my coping mechanism is sleeping, it means that I tended to withdraw from challenges, especially when posed by them in reaching this dream. But I'm thankful for the support system I had and people that would always encourage me, and be there. But the sad thing about that is that some people don't have that support system. Some people don't have that. And that is why then you don't necessarily teach someone how to go about life by themselves, but you try to help them to find the structures around them that can potentially help them and assist them in different spheres in their life. So support system is has been very important in my life. And over and above that, for me, prayer has also been important. I would never start something without communicating and talking to God and asking if this is where I need to go, if this is what I need to do in my life. Is this the right thing for me to do? Is this the right path for me to do? So for me personally, prayer has been important in the guidance in my journey, but a support system is very, very important. But at the same time, when you realize your dream or you know what your dream is, it is very important to you to actually try to figure out what this dream is. Because sometimes we dream. You wake up in your dream, you want to be an astronaut. But what is an astronaut? And what are the challenges that comes with being an astronaut? What do you know? So a lot of the times as people, the reason why we let go of our dreams is because we like to do research. And nowadays, no one has an excuse because we all have technology in our midst, and COVID has actually made it, more out there than ever. But researching what you want to do, what it is about, will also give you the encouragement that you need to know, this is the path I want to take. These are the hurdles. These are the challenges, So, but I could go on for days on things that you can do to realize your dreams.
Just reminded of something from my own life. Somebody very special to me asked me recently, what has been your dream like growing up? And I didn't have that. Then after that, when I reflect on that, I'm like, growing up, I've been living on a survival mode because for me, because of my background and so forth, it was an issue of, I just need to get out of this place, the place of poverty or just a survival mode. I need to work hard, get a job and, do what needs to be done. I didn't really have a dream to say that I want to be a social worker. I want to be 1, 2, 3. So it talks to what you are talking about, to say that sometimes the resources or the supporting system around you is very important for you to be able to realize your dream. Because I was doing so many things, but I never had a dream to say that I'm going to become 1, 2, 3. Or it was just a survival mode that I need to make it out of here. And that very same thing, it actually cost me, because it took me like 2 years before I can even go to varsity. It was not because I was actually an A student, hopefully, I think, but it's a matter of not having resources, not having supporting system. You live on a survival mode. You can't think beyond your circumstances. You don't have any, role model or people close by where you can say, I want to be like that person. You are just in that cocoon, so that if I can just survive this and just work, you only dream of an ordinary life because you don't know anything other than that. So, Moratu, in relation to that, how do we help people in such situations? People who don't have the kind of information that we talk about. We're saying that now technology is out there and all those things, but some of the things that we are present from, it's issues of, family issues, it's issues of lack of money, poverty, like social economic issues. How do we then become the voice of hope in such situations? And how can we help others, in fact, when it comes to it, for them to realize their dream? Because at the end of the day, it's about realizing the dream. It's about realizing the dream so that when you look back, you're like, okay, I have this journey. Though I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but at least I've moved away from where I was.
That every one of us, not just on this platform, every single individual has a gift within them. And something that I listened to Steve Harvey say, and he was saying that your gift is something that's personal to you. Your gift is something that you are good at, you are the best at, and you'll know because it takes the least effort to do it. If you don't find any hesitation in talking, then maybe pursue something in that. If it's a sport, then I don't know, football or something, then you see how you pursue something in that. And what I like especially is that when you think beyond your circumstances. For example, I want to get my PhD done. When I'm done with my master's, I want to go that route. If I can think about enrolling for my PhD, then somewhere in my mind it must mean that I have the means to get there because we're able to get me there. And one thing that Tsholo has said is that, we have resources. If you don't have access to internet, you go to the library. There's books there, there's free internet there, and you go and educate yourself about, I want to study this, I want to go into this type of career. What do I need to get myself out of this circumstance? And the thing is that also, you don't even need to come from, I don't know, a well-off family. You build yourself from scratch. If it means you have to get a job, if it's something that you have never seen yourself doing, you start from somewhere because in your head, you know where you want to get. And it's quite difficult because as individuals, we are more prone to think of how others see ourselves. You get embarrassed that, I have to go work at Pick and Pay, for example, to raise funds for my studies and so forth. But people don't understand the dream that you have, the goal where you want to go. But the biggest thing for me definitely is educate yourself. If you can see yourself out of a particular situation, you can definitely get yourself there. The first place or your starting point would be education. You need to think about, because if you don't think it, then it's not going to happen. You're going to remain stuck in that place. So find resources. Number one, if there's no resources, ask somebody who you think can help you. Where do you think I can get this? How do you think I can get informed about this? But move. Don't just say I want to do this or I want to be this, but not do anything about it. That's my take on it.
Growing up and I guess learning experience work and stuff, it is very important for people to know that our gifts are not limited to things that are visual, because we tend to think that gifts, it could be singing, sports, so forth. Our gifts are not always visual. It's not always something that can be seen. Sometimes it's something that you have to do. Sometimes it's an act of service to somebody else. Sometimes it's things like that where it's not necessarily, I just wanted to add that it's not necessarily something tangible to say that I've recorded a CD and this is my dream. This is my gift. This is what God has given me. Sometimes God just gives you the gift of listening, and that could change the world. So I just wanted to add that our gifts are not always that. So when you're searching and looking for your gift, look deeper than what you just see in the outside world.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that. Paseka also talks about some of the resources being the old rainbow booklet, which used to have career paths and so forth. And he talks about how ambitious he even applied for universities that he didn't qualify for. But I would like to encourage somebody that do not give up. If you have that dream, hold on to it, push it. It doesn't matter. Some of the things, they are just temporary situation, but if you work hard at what you want, you can actually achieve it. Really said valuable things. The panelists have really shared with us their experiences and their journey in terms of realizing their dreams and how have different environment of circumstances have affected their realization of dreams. But just to wrap, we are here, we are living, we have dreams, we have goals, but as individual, maybe one by one, each of you, I would like for you to answer this question. What is it that you would want to be remembered for once everything is all and done? What is the one thing that you would want to be remembered for?
Yeah, I think for me, the one thing that keeps ringing in my mind is being present. I want to be remembered for the different roles that I played in different people's lives. And be it we were friends 10 years, 2 months, but in that particular period that I interacted you, be it professional, personal, whatever capacity that I played it in, that I heard you, I saw you, and you felt that I was there. So it would be great to have a statue and all, but that for me would suffice. Especially being a mom, you kind of forget a lot to just be in the moment. You're fussing about time, you're fussing about everything. That somebody comes, or my daughter would come with a picture, but I'd forget to be there, but be on some uhlapile. And if I had to drop down and die, what would be the last thing that she would remember me about? I was always busy, I was always working. So I think for me, I'm working towards being there and fulfilling my purpose. I have not found it yet, but I liked what the 2 ladies have already spoken about, that it's a gift that I think I'm getting it, and I'm happy to be here, that out of this conversation, I'm able to go back and look into my life and look deeper, and kind of see that I've actually been living my purpose. It's just that I have not titled it yet. It does not come in a form of an occupation. It does not come in a form of a post or anything. And can I just answer one question that you asked earlier on? What is it that we do for other people to actually realize that it is possible? I think we could all give you a round of applause for this platform right here. This is what you do to make people aware that there's so many challenges in life, and your life is no different to mine. It's just by a matter of being able to speak and ask for help. And a platform like this, one thing that I also like doing is just, in any capacity that you're in, you can teach. Similar path. Be open enough to teach the next person. It cannot be, it's not limited to careers. It's not like I don't like cooking. The other day I was on the phone with my sister. She was teaching me how to cook chicken in the grill. So teach. Whatever skill that you have, teach.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So when everything is all and done, how would you like to be remembered?
I used to joke around a lot and say that the reason I love my job, and I do, everybody that knows me knows that I love my job very much. The reason why I love my job is because I'm helping someone that does not have exposure to any kind of help whenever they want it. And I would always say, I'm not going to go into the corporate world. because they have all the money and all the funds to do as they please, after they've been attacked. The medical aid will take time to find them someone, whereas I'm accessible for you to come immediately after, for me to do a crisis intervention on the scene or after the scene and to see you. And that gave me fulfillment to know that I was accessible to them, and I joked around with the fact that I won't go to corporate, they don't need me, until I realized that it's not even a joke. I won't go because I would prefer to be in a space of people where the help is not as accessible as it would be for a certain group of people. So I think once it's all said and done, the one thing I would love to be remembered for, or the one thing that I feel I strive for, and it's God willingly so, because He puts me in a position to strive for it, is to know that at the end of the day, there are some people in my space that did not commit suicide because of a role I played, that got assistance. Either they were admitted into a hospital or into a rehab because of the role that I played, to know that I was selfless enough to not put my needs before theirs at that point in time, and sometimes this finds you overstretching yourself so much that you will end up being sick yourself. But I don't believe Untitled will give you something that you cannot carry, so I am not looking for like a gold medal or a bonus or money, or I know me, I could be content doing what I do now for the rest of my life, even if I earned less. Because at the end of the day, I go to bed knowing that someone is okay, because I reached out or I assisted in some way. And yes, it's the knowledge and the skill, but it's the strength and the guidance from God to give me that platform or that allowance to reach out. So I think that's what, more than anything, I'd like to be remembered for. I know the sad thing about this is that I tend to lack in the family department and friendship department because I'm overdoing it in the other department of people. But God has been gracious enough to give me people that understand. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes my little sister hates the fact that she can't access me whenever she wants because I'm busy helping other people, but at some point she understands. So I don't know, I think that sums it up, to know that I did that. I don't know if that is what I'll be remembered for, but that's what makes me sleep at night.
Beautiful, Tsholo. Moratuwa, how would you like for us to remember you when all is said and done?
But when I was thinking about your question, I thought about the impact that I could have or would have had in people's lives, and the change, the positive change that I can lend a helping hand. A simple example that I can think about now, I think a lot of people that know me know that I kind of dabbled my feet in the modeling area, as a hobby, if I can say that. And there was a young girl at church, I think she was about 14, 15. And she came to me one Sunday after church and she said to me, "Can you help me?" So I asked her, what kind of help are you referring to? And she said to me, she doesn't feel confident about her smile. She thinks that she doesn't know how to smile. And she had the most beautiful smile. I couldn't understand, but I'd say, to start with people where they are and to journey with them, but also at the same time, even if you can help somebody within an arm's reach, but to do the little that you can to change someone's mood, if I can say that, or build that little self-confidence in somebody, but helping and being a part of positive change in somebody else's life. Another example that I can think of now is that about 2 weeks ago, I was with a friend of mine and she said to me, that I shave my head. And she said her daughter, I think she's in grade 7 now, and she said she wanted to shave her head. And she asked her, but why? And she said, no, I want to look like Moratuwa, Miss SA now, has shaved her head. It's those kind of things that you accept who you are as you are. You know, there's so many things that have happened to Black women and Black people, that when you find that innate acceptance within you, it's so beautiful to see that you don't need the extra stuff. If you accept yourself as you are and you are happy as you are, you can, go as far as you want. So I think, I'd say impact and change. Very briefly and shortly.
Beautiful stories that you have actually shared about so little things that we would actually take for granted, but they can be very impactful. If I were to answer that question, I just want to be remembered as somebody who brought hope in hopeless situation, being the voice of change and impact and hope. So I'm all about that. I'm all about, being impactful in everything that I do, bringing people together. Like somebody said, you are so tired, wara, wara, wara. Why? How do you manage to do 1, 2, 3? Then I told them that, all the other things that I do, like platforms like this, it what brings purpose to my life. It what brings meaning. So that is what I would want to be remembered for. Not the loud laugh and all the other things, but just being that voice of hope. Any advice that you can share with us, and then we can close the discussion? Any advice? Just 30 seconds advice, and then we can close the discussion.
I would just like to say something, if I may, Osimo. To every one of us, to never give up, to be patient with ourselves. We're people at the end of the day, and things happen, we encounter difficult things, but to be patient with ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to be understanding and kind to ourselves, and to never give up on the thing that we desire the most.
Like Moratuwa is saying, it is very important for us to realize that we can't all be in the same place at the same time, in the same space, in the same wavelength. That is very, very important. I've always regarded myself as a late bloomer, and I take pride in that. If you like a song that just got released now, trust you me, I'm going to like it in 2022, because somehow I'm going to get there I'm going to get there late. And in my life, in my journey, that's how it's been. In my education, in my career, in everything I have strived for, it has always happened later than the time that I thought it should happen. I thought by 25, 26, a lot of my dreams should be done, set still, and set. And until I got to my 30s, and I'm like, I haven't reached 1, 2, and 3. And I realized that, remember, you're a late bloomer. So take your time, and you will never find your purpose as early as the next person or as later as the next person. You are an individual person. You go through your own emotions, your own challenges from your individual experience. Your environment, your experiences, your challenges shape and groom who you will be or who you're becoming. This is also included with what you desire, what your capabilities are, and what you have in front of you. So we can never be the same. And Mantombi said this earlier, how she's accepted that she can never be the same as the next person and reach something the same way somebody else has reached it. So it's very, very important for us to realize that. And it's not only important for you to realize that it's also important for your well-being. We put so much pressure and stress on ourselves, and we realize that the most important, I know they say that the least important person is I, right? Granted. But if you can't take care of I, how are you going to take care of the next person? How are you going to take care of your family? You need to take care of yourself. You need to realize that certain things that you're doing in life need to be aligned with your well-being. If you don't take care of, especially now during COVID, if you don't take care of your well-being, you will find it harder to reach that dream and that purpose. And my sister, in closing, my sister and her friends did something that I love so much, always done in therapy, but not to that magnitude, called a vision board. Where sometimes as young people, as old people, you need to put your dreams and your visions down. You need to have a board. You need to put them together and see, this is what I want. Scratch out what you already have. we take it for granted. We think that it's something small, but it's something important, because the more you see of it, the more you realize what you want to do. But at the same time, keeping in mind that don't stress yourself too much. Things will happen at the right time. Just keep on working hard and pushing yourself.
It's actually very important. Yeah. It's Mantombi. Your last thoughts or any advice that you might have for us?
Recently, I came across this saying or a tweet by Denzel Washington. It says, "Beware of destination addiction. The idea that happiness is in the next place, the next job, or even the next partner. Until you give up that idea that happiness is somewhere else, you will never be where you are." And that was my closing. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the time that the listeners or the viewers were here. Thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you so much, ladies, and thank you for everyone's inputs also via the chat room. I'm reading all of them, and it's quite a privilege for us to engage in this manner at this level, because sometimes we are all isolated in our own place, and sometimes we think that maybe our journeys are more difficult than other people's journeys, only to find out, what, you can still make it, you can still push, it doesn't matter the circumstances, you can still be where you want to be. So it doesn't matter whether you achieve them at the early stage, you realize your dream from as early as 5 years, or you realize your dream while you are like over 30. So at the end of the day, it's about embracing the journey, like Moratuwa said, it's about embracing the journey, embracing the challenge, anything that would want you to maybe alter things, have a shortcut somewhere, have a long run somewhere, but it's about embracing the journey, embracing the lessons that comes throughout the journey of us discovering our dreams, discovering our passion, discovering our purpose. So thank you so much to the panelists for taking the time to share your experiences, to share your wisdom with us. I thank you very much, Tsholofelo, Moratuwa, and also Judith. It's been such a great discussion. I hope all our viewers and also our attendees have really enjoyed and have grabbed something out of this, because I myself have definitely grabbed something out of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Please don't forget to continue to follow us on YouTube. We are also now on Facebook.